Welcome to Business on the Vine. I'm your host, Lady Jen Du Plessis, and in this dynamic series, we dive into the challenges, breakthroughs, and victories of entrepreneurs who have turned their passion into success. Welcome. Welcome back to Business on the Vine. I'm your host, Lady Jen Du Plessis, and with me today are today's guests. Boy, you talk about success. He lives it. He lives it. He is the voice behind Eat That Frog. If you've ever read that book, I hope you have. The Psychology of Selling, and over 80 other books that have guided millions of professionals to their goals, including yours truly right here. He's trained in over 70 countries, speaks 4 languages, which, by the way, Brian, I didn't know that you did, because parlez-vous français? I know you speak French. And yet somehow still makes the most complex success principles feel very simple and very doable, one step at a time. What I love so much about you, Brian, is that you've mastered the blend of mindset and mechanics, which is a motto that I use in my business. Mindset plus mechanics equals momentum.
Yes.
Mastered this blend of this for high performance salespeople, and personal leadership, right? And personal development. And so everybody get ready. This isn't just an interview. This is going to be a masterclass with my friend, Brian Tracy. So please help me welcome this legendary and powerful man to the stage. Brian, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to join us. I am just over the moon delighted.
Thank you, Lady Jen. I was so happy to meet you and your wonderful husband, Brian.
Yeah.
He's my bestie now.
Yes.
I really appreciate you guys very much, and I'm looking forward to this.
Thank you. Yeah, I am too. I'm so excited about this. Brian, when I think of you and I think of all the books that you've written, there's one word for me that stands out, and that's clarity.
Yes.
What's the one word that stands out for you? Is it, I think clarity because it's about strategy, it's about promotion, personal promotion, right? Promoting yourself up, about discipline, about habits. There's so much that you provide that's clarity, but what is the word you would use to describe yourself if you were seeing all of your books from an outsider looking in?
It's interesting because I repeat that word over and over when I do seminars and strategic planning. I've done strategic planning for more than 1,000 companies, and I always introduce the 2 or 3 day session with the importance of clarity. Is
Yeah.
the greater clarity that each of us has about our role and the company and the future and our values, our vision, our purpose, our mission, the greater clarity we have, the more likely it is that we will achieve it. You know, the 80-20 rule is a terrible taskmaster, but it says that 80% of people accomplish very little. The top 20% accomplish over time as much as 10 times as much. They earn 10 times as much. They build successful businesses. I'm just reading today that the richest man in the world now is now Larry of his name just escaped me, but he just passed Elon Musk as the richest guy in the world, and he started his business by himself 20 years, 30 years ago, and because he had such absolute clarity, Larry Ellison is his name, such clarity, he's managed to become the richest man in the history of the world. That's absolutely phenomenal, and most people don't even know who he is, although they will now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm sure they will.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do think clarity. Okay, so let's talk about this from a business perspective, because this is business on the vine, right? And we're hearing through the grapevine all these great ideas from you today. Why is clarity? And this may tie into some of the business planning that you're doing too, about setting goals as well. Because I know that 3%, I've read this before in one of your books, that 3% of adults have goals written down. They have dreams, but they don't have goals. So why do you think that clarity is such an issue for businesses, given the fact that people step into entrepreneurship
Yes.
knowing that over 50% of them are going to fail.
Yes, it's about if you're starting a new business and you haven't done one before, the failure rate is about 90%.
Wow, it's even higher now. I knew it was high, but yeah.
If the interesting thing is that if you have started and failed at a business and you start another one, your success rate is much higher. It's 80, 90% success rate because now you have clarity. And now you know what works and what doesn't work, what
Yeah.
to do more of and what to do less of.
Yeah.
One of the things which I discovered, and I used to call it my golden triangle, and my golden triangle has to do with mindset and then the actual steps that you take. Number one is to accept responsibility. The number one reason why people don't succeed is because they make excuses. They
Mm,
blame other people and other things, their past, their present, their relationships. They blame other people, and as a result, they step on the brake of their own potential. But when you say the magic words, and I spent 4,000 hours studying the whole concept of positive emotions, and virtually all negative emotions come from blaming. So as
mm,
soon as you stop blaming, there's no one else to blame, and you say, I am responsible, you suddenly take charge of your life. You start making excuses. You don't blame your parents or your bad business associates or bad marriages and so on. You say, I am responsible. That's number one. And you find that leaders are people who accept responsibility.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
was just reading about the gentleman who just became the head of Starbucks. And he started off working behind the counter at Chipotle's. And he worked his way up and he was clear about what he was going to accomplish. And he made his branch successful and then another branch. And then he moved up and he became the president of Chipotle's. And they hired him to turn Starbucks around. And they gave him a $96 million signing bonus. $96 million signing bonus. You think, oh my God. And then not only that, his first year, he made like $45 million in salary. And why? Is because he was clear about what he wanted to accomplish. And he brought the whole company along with him. So that's really, really important. So the second thing that I talk about, I call it the golden triangle. The second is goals, is you have to have written goals and plans to achieve them. And they have to be in writing. People don't understand how important writing is. As you said, Harvard found their MBA graduates, the most privileged, highest educated people in the world, only 3% have written goals. The others have hopes and wishes and maybe and oh, I know
Right.
what I want. I know what I want. That's a killer. I know what I want. Really, show me.
Right.
And so I used to do a coaching program, and I would executive coaching. I'd have 20 or 30 people. They would come to me once every 3 months for a year, and I charged them $5,000 to make it economically viable for me. And they said, well, that's a lot of money. I said, well, I'll give you my double guarantee, which I will give everybody who's listening. My double guarantee is that if you follow my advice, you will double your income and double your time off within 12 months, or there's no charge. I'll give you your money back. And people said, okay, on that basis, I'll do it. Everybody doubled or tripled their income within 30 days. And it was a very simple exercise. I have to tell our friends this because it's a life changer. A woman came to me from Ukraine. She was set up with an agent in Europe to come and spend 3 hours interviewing me, talking to me, taking photographs with me. And my agent said, this is a remarkable woman. She's just literally taken the podcasting, the television, the radio business by storm. And she said, Brian, I've got to tell you why I'm here. She's 39 years old. Her name is Maria. She has 2 children, happily married. And she said, 3 years ago, I was earning $500 a month. $500. And this is in Ukraine, which is, of course, is war torn and so on. And she said, last month, I earned $500,000.
Oh, wow.
$500,000. And I said, how did you do it? She said, it's the exercise on goal setting that you wrote about in your book. And it's the same exercise which I want to tell everybody else. You just take a spiral notebook. Hold on a second here. Grab one. In my coaching program, I would say to everybody, now I want to introduce you to your new best friend. It's a spiral notebook. It costs $1.49. I say, if you can't afford it, your mother will buy it for you because she wants you out of the house anyway. And so I say, take this, and what you do is you turn it to the first page. And this is what she did. Turn it to the first page, write down today's date and the word goals, and write down 10 goals in the present tense as if they had already been achieved. Now, this is really important. So you write not I will, but I weigh, I earn, I achieve, I accomplish, I have, because your subconscious mind can only accept a command presented in the present tense. So you do this, and then the next morning, when you get up, you take your workbook, and here's the rule, without looking back. You turn to the next page, and you do it again. And you write down your 10 goals. And every morning, you turn to the new page, and without looking back, write down your 10 goals in the present tense. And I used to tell my coaching clients, do this for the next 3 months, and your life will change. Every one of them doubled and tripled their income within 30 days, sometimes within a week. They could not believe it. It was like pushing down a dynamite detonator. Boom,
Right.
life exploded. So please, everybody should do that, and
Yeah.
they will. You will literally double and triple your income. You'll actually become a huge success, like this woman that I just told you the story about. I have heard so many stories. People come to me and write to me from all over the world and tell me that exercise transformed their lives because
Yeah.
of clarity. Clarity.
Yeah. So I have a question because I know someone else might have this question. Are they writing the same 10 goals, or through the day, have they discovered that maybe one wasn't a goal that they were trying to achieve, and in fact, it was this goal that they wanted?
By writing it and rewriting it, the first time you're right off the top of your head. Second time, you think about it a bit more. If you keep writing and keep writing, soon the same 10 goals will start to appear in
Yes.
the same sequence.
Got it.
The first time, you don't have clarity yet. So
Yeah.
just do this.
I had a sneaky feeling that was going to happen.
Uh,
I definitely had that sneaky feeling because I thought, oh, if you can't look back, how can you remember 10 goals, right? Because it's one of the things that I know that you teach on and I subscribe to is, you say write down 3 goals today, but do one, one that will move. I say do one goal today that will move the needle on your business. And then if you get to all the other goals that will move the needle or need to be taken care of, or it's admin, that's fine. But at least you did the one thing. So, I think that I love that subscription of, writing down. I'm always writing down things, because I do find that sometimes, when that I just broke my arm, right?
yeah.
Sometimes the pain is in my finger, but the arm's broken. So I think that what I need, the goal is to fix my finger,
Oh, I see.
right?
Right.
But really the goal is to fix my arm so my finger doesn't hurt. Right. And I think that that's so, so powerful and so simple. This is what I said about you, that the simplicity for which you provide, you turn these complex into simple. I have a couple questions for you. So now behind you, this is not a fake background. This is your office. This is your library. I have a couple of questions about your library since you're doing that. Do you ever go back and reread any of your books?
Yes, I don't reread my books. I
Oh,
write new ones. I had an interesting experience. I had never written a book, and then I got a contract from Simon and Schuster to write a book which summarized my very best ideas, called The Psychology of Achievement.
yes.
And Simon and Schuster picked the name Maximum Achievement, which has become a bestseller worldwide. And many people say it's the best success book ever written.
It
And
is. Yeah.
so after I hired a publicist, I paid this a publicist about $6,000 a month, and her job was to get me interviews. That's how you promoted a book at that time. And so I got interviews, and after about 3 months, she stopped getting me interviews. And I said, "What? Why aren't I doing more interviews?" She said, "Well, your 90 days is up." I said, "My 90 days?" She says, "Every book has 90 days, and then they go on to another book." I said, "Well, how do I get more interviews?" And she said, jokingly, "Write another book."
Oh, geez.
I said, "Okay," because I worked and given seminars on so many subjects and complete workbooks. So I said, "Okay, I will." So I wrote another book, and then I decided I would write a new book every 90 days. And I did that for 22 years. And I just kept writing new books. And I still write. Now I just finished my 97th book,
Oh
and I
my
have a
gosh. Yeah.
contract for my 98th book, and then I have my 99th and my 100th and my 101st book all under contract. And so I just keep writing books. And I kept out there, and Beat That Frog just kind of struck
Mhm.
like lightning and became the best-selling book on time management in the world. And as I said, in 55 languages, it's a most remarkable thing. But the thing is that I was just really clear I wanted to get onto the bestseller list. And so it's not one book, it's another book. My royalties are now a lot.
A lot. Yeah, a lot. I love that you're doing that strategy. I think it's really important and it's so ironic. God's honest truth. God's honest truth. I am right now working with AI, which I'm going to talk to you about technology in a little bit here, but working with AI to analyze all of my books,
Yes,
all of my chapters in the books. I've been in like 35 books now. And all of my chapters to summarize and bring together the main themes. And
yes,
then where are my blind spots for moving forward, utilizing some current interviews that I've been on and some current speeches that I've done because I've progressed since
yes,
those books were written. And I have
yes.
some things I want to talk about. So I don't want to just go back to the books, but God's honest truth, it's sitting up here on my chat right now. I'm going, okay, analyze all these interviews and all these things. So
Yes.
what am I talking about now? What am I learning now? And what should I be sharing now? And then I can dissect that and say, oh gosh, yeah, I do talk about that. I forgot that I talk about that. So I love that you say that. And hear that as a business owner is, to move forward, sometimes you have to go back and see,
Yes.
what got you where you are at that time. And I love that. And that's why I asked if you read your own books and if you have been reading that.
One of the things that I do is you play with AI, and so you ask questions. One, you could take a book, and what I understand, I have a complete AI training division that teaches people and charges them as much as $30,000 a year to
Yeah.
teach them how to use AI in their corporations.
Yeah.
So I'm not unfamiliar with it, but the guys that I have are geniuses, and I'm just a layman. Well,
They're
anyway,
AI strategists. Yeah.
so anyway, what you do is you say, yes, what they explained to me is that everything that you've said or written or made available goes into the cloud,
Yeah.
and your AI can access everything in the cloud. For example, I have friends who say, well, what is there about me in the cloud? And very little, because you haven't written or recorded anything.
Right,
But if
right.
you have, and I have so many audio programs, I have 1,000 hours of audio programs
Yeah,
that have been recorded and video programs, and they're
yeah,
now in multiple languages. And so, anyway, so what you do is you ask a question: what is Lady Jen's most popular book? And it'll come out in an instant. Then you say,
yep, instantly.
what are
Yeah,
the most important 10 points in the
right.
book that people need to be aware of? And
Yeah,
it'll give you that in an instant. And then you ask, how could I make this book far more persuasive and helpful to more people? And
right,
it'll give you
right. What
10.
kind of program could I develop from it? Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
It took us about 3 months to upload everything
yes.
so that AI could learn my language and speak in my voice. And I tested it. And I still test it. I even say, that doesn't, thank you so much. You always have to be polite to AI. Thank you so much. However, that doesn't sound like Lady Jen's voice. Can you please
Ah,
try it again? And they come back and they go, sure, we'll try it in Lady Jen's voice, right? And it's just amazing. I love that you're using AI. So okay, we're there. So let me ask you that question, and I know you've addressed it in Eat That Frog, the fourth edition as
yes.
well. And I know you introduced it in Eat That Frog 3 as well. But in today's digital age, do you think that the psychology of selling, because I know this is another area that I'm very interested in that you work with is selling. Do you think that the psychology has changed, or do the fundamentals still remain timeless? And then the second half of that question is, what do you think is one mistake you're still seeing with seasoned salespeople today? So, are the tactics and principles still there? And what mistakes are you seeing?
Well, let me give you a quick story. I didn't realize it, but one of my clients has a friend who's the president of a Fortune 500 company. And he started off as a salesman, and they taught him a sort of like a hard sell form of selling,
Yes. Yeah.
closing and answering objections cleverly and so on.
Right.
And he wasn't comfortable with it. And one day he attended one of my big public seminars, 1,000, 2,000 people. And he said, this is the way I want to sell, because my seminar always starts off with the importance of building trust and the importance of helping the client, seeing yourself as a servant to the client and asking questions to find out exactly how your product or service can help them, and then positioning it that way. Anyway, he said, I like this because it brings out the best in a relationship between two people. And so he began instead of practicing what he had been trained to do, he began to practice this method, my method. And he had the workbook, because I always write workbooks for my seminars. And he started to make more sales and more sales and started to move up, and they got promoted and promoted. Well, over the period of the next few years, he became the president of a Fortune 500 company. And now he said, now I have the power. And they junked the entire sales training process that they've grown on over the years. And they began to use this system and transformed their business.
Right.
The yesterday I was doing a talk with a sales trainer, really bright guy, and he was interviewing me, and he was talking about how I had had such a positive influence on him and so on. And he had his major points on a board, and the major points were the same things that I taught, and they started off with building trust. Is that until the person likes you and trusts you and is open to your influence, nothing can happen. And so, therefore, concentrate on helping your customer, to concentrate on serving your customer, helping them achieve their most important goals with your product or service. And that's the beginning point. There's 7 points in the psychology of selling. It's now the best-selling program in the world. He is one example, but there's probably 2 or 3 million salespeople have been through the program in 39 languages, on audio, video, written books, follow-up books, and so on. And the wonderful thing that I discovered, and you discovered, is you can learn anything you need to learn. If you want to increase your income, if you want to double your income, it's astonishing how quickly you can do it by simply learning how other people who are earning more than you are doing differently from you and do the same thing.
Right. Instead of having that white knuckle, right? So often business owners, they come in, they go, this is the business I want to create. This is what I want to do. These are the people I want to serve. This is the way I want it gone. And they white knuckle it and they white knuckle it all the way to the grave. Right. And right. I it's totally that. And I've always believed that it's not a sales call, it's a service call. And
Yes.
as soon as we can move from, I want to have 100 deals this year to I want to serve 100 clients, 100 people this year. It's
Yes.
going to be right. Yeah. How are you sharing with people now the use of digital technology? And it's kind of a little bit of a second question. The use of technology to eliminate or reduce distractions, because time management and productivity is really big for you. How do we work with digital, meaning Facebook, social media, all the distraction, or playing with AI,
Yes.
versus how do we have it work for us? And I know
Well,
you talk about this in your book about taking control, right? Control of your time, discipline of your time, control of this stuff. But maybe give us some more insight, because a lot of business owners are just a bunch of cats on a marble floor in oil. They're scrambling for everything.
yes. Well, the good news is that all the answers have been found. It's one of my mottos. All the answers have been found. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. Is the way of selling was discovered 2 or 3 thousand years ago.
Right.
And basically, it is to help people in a cost-effective way to achieve their goals better than anybody else can, better than your competition. So
Mhm.
you can even start off by saying, I thank you very much for your time. My goal today is to help you achieve your goals faster than you would in the absence of my help. Those,
Yes.
those words are carefully chosen. In the absence of my help. In order to be able to help you, if I can, I need to ask you some questions. Would that be okay? And
Mhm.
when a person understands that you're not trying to manipulate them, you're trying to help them. And you can even say, based on everything that you've told me, this is not a good product for you at this time, or this is not necessary for you at this time. You're doing all the right things. Just keep on doing what you're doing. Or you can say, I think we can really help you achieve your goals. Now, here's something that's important about goals. And I began to study economics when I was about 30, 40 years ago. And I, I say, I felt I died and gone to heaven because the economics that I studied was the Austrian economics, the free market economics. And basically what it said was that every human action is an attempt to improve one's life in the most effective way possible. And so therefore, every product or service is an attempt to help people to improve their life. And human beings cannot act contrary to improving their lives. So all sales, all entrepreneurship, all business, everything is people who are careful, risk averse, made lots of mistakes. It's people who are looking for a safe, effective way to improve their life in some way, whether it's going to a restaurant or anything else. And the selling process is like a recipe. Many years ago, I used to go out when I was single. I would go out and take girls out for dinner, and I always liked Caesar salad. And so I would take them to a nice restaurant with Caesar salad. And one day I had this revelation is that the waiter making the Caesar salad next to the table was no genius. He was just following a recipe. And
Recipe.
the recipe was prepared for him in the kitchen. He brought out all the ingredients. He mixed them up in front of you and served them. So I thought, Well, I could do that, and then I wouldn't have to take people to a restaurant. I could
Right.
take them home. And so I did. And I began experimenting with Caesar salad recipes. And I eventually got every recipe I tried, experimented, and I created a recipe with 14 ingredients that is, and it's a joke amongst many of my clients, it's literally the best recipe for Caesar salad that I or anybody else has ever seen in their life. And it's a recipe, and it has a process, and it has certain ingredients in certain proportions. And if you follow the recipe, out of the end comes a delicious Caesar salad. If you follow the recipe for selling, which is 7 simple parts, then what happens out of the end comes high sales, high
Yeah.
income. You live in a big house in a nice neighborhood and send your kids to private schools. And if you don't, you don't. If you don't put in all the ingredients, if you don't mix them in the right proportions and so on, then what happens is you have a mediocre uh, result. And so that's the same thing.
I love it. And I love that, you can get recipes from other people like Brian, like me, right? You can get the recipe instead of doing it yourself. Like you said, there's no need to reinvent the wheel. But if you are, creating something new, especially with AI, there's a lot of recipe, the prompting and the responses, right? We have a lot of that in that. I heard something yesterday that I want to read to you really quick. And I thought this was brilliant. And she said, stay in the room to last through the learning curve. And then there'll be no cap to anything in your life. So I'll repeat this, stay in the room to last through the learning curve. And then there will be no cap to anything in your life.
Right.
And I thought, gosh, people give up, right? So often they give up because they don't have the recipe and they say, well, I'm done. I'm done doing it. But they don't seek counsel and mentorship from other people
Yes.
to get it right. Well, if I can't fix it myself, I don't want to spend the money, to do it, but it's costing you more money and you have to look at how much it is costing you. So that this moves us to, mindset, the mindset, if and I'm really big on emotional intelligence right now. And I mean, not acuity, but agility intelligence, right? AQ, EQ, and AQ, because the ability to stand back, listen, discern, make good decisions, practice great principles, great discipline.
Yes.
Then, right. And then to be able to deploy it in a quick, effective way. Nowadays, it's called disruptive leadership, right? Where you're
Right.
able to discern, but then act quickly because things are moving 100 miles an hour. What are most business owners missing in order to be able to be successful?
Well, I was struggling in sales. I was not afraid to make calls because I had been through all kinds of experiences and I was not afraid of things. But and I would make 60 to 70 calls a day and no sales. And
Mm,
I asked a top sales guy who was
yeah,
selling very casually and outselling everybody in the company. And I said,
right.
"What are you doing differently from me?" And he said, "Boy," he said, "that's a big question." He said, "Have you read any books on selling?" And I'm a reader. I love to read. And I said, "Are there books on selling?" I didn't know. And he said,
Right.
"Oh, yeah." I said, "Where would you find them?" He said, "At the bookstore." I, because I loved books. And I read mostly nonfiction books or history or biographies.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I went down to the bookstore and I was astonished at how many really good books there were on selling. So I began to read them. And from there, my sales went like this, straight up.
Yeah.
The rest of my life, I've been an aggressive reader and listener. I listened to audio programs. I still remember some of the original audio programs, the audio cassettes. And then I went to seminars. And I still remember the first seminars. I was just, I couldn't believe how many great ideas there were. So the answer is you need to be a lifelong student of your craft. You can earn more than a doctor or a lawyer, an architect or an engineer by learning how to sell well. And if you can sell well, you can have an unlimited income. And so I began to learn and do, learn and do. Now, here's a very important point. And I learned this from my friend Charlie Jones. And he would start his talk, and he was very funny. And he would say, I'm going to give you a key idea. This is the most important idea you'll ever learn in your whole career. Here it is. And he'd build it up, and he'd say, nothing works. Nothing works. He said, at least nothing works the first time you
Mm.
try it. And the great mistake that people made is they would try something new that which they had not mastered yet, and it didn't work. So they would abandon it.
Yeah,
No.
that's it. They don't stay in the room long enough. Yeah. Yeah.
One decision that changed my life was I would try something new, a new idea, 10 times before I would pass judgment. 10
Yeah.
times. And if
Yeah.
it was a good idea, then within 10 times, I'd have mastered it and I would own it like a new skill, like a tool in my mental
And
toolbox.
putting your flavor on it, right? The small little iterations that don't deviate from the main recipe. Maybe you would like more salt, maybe you like less pepper, and doing some little deviations from it. It's interesting. You're talking about, the people in your life, like, George Jones, right? So you've studied lots of successful people, and I know a lot of the people that we're all kind of friends and kind of running the same thing. So what's something that's surprising that they don't have in common that makes them successful?
Well, I have a formula for doubling your income and then doubling it again. And it's based on Einstein. He said that the law of he said the law of what is this? My mind just went blank
Are
here.
you talking about doubling the doubling?
Yes,
You and
yes.
I together. We're not editing this, by the way. We're just going to go. Okay, everybody else is listening is going. Oh, I know that one. I know that one. Compounding interest. There we go. I found
Compounding, yes,
it. There we
compounding interest.
go.
And
Yeah.
he said that compounding is the eighth wonder of the world.
Yeah.
Eighth wonder of the world. So compounding means that if you get a little bit better each day, week, month, year, it compounds and it grows and grows and grows. So I would say to my audience, I would say, how many people here would like to double their income? And everybody raises their hand.
Right. Right.
So what you do is you become 1% better. Uh, Actually, it's 0.5% better per week, 2% better per month, 25% better per year. And if you do that for 3 years, you will be earning twice as much, which isn't very much because many people could do it in a week. Uh,
Yeah.
but
If they
25%
applied
per year.
themselves, right? If they applied it themselves and took the action that's needed.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so just become more productive, learn a little bit about time management, learn about your skills and so on. And
Mhm.
if you keep doing that, how many people here, I say, would like to increase their income 10 times? And
Mhm.
everybody raises their hand. I say, well, we just keep doing it 25% per year, 2% a month, and year after year with compounding. At 10 years and 4 weeks, you will be earning 10 times as much. And I
Yeah.
had, and people said, that's too much. I had a gentleman come up to me at a seminar, and he said, Brian, he said, I went to your seminar a few years ago, and you told us about the compounding idea and earning 10 times as much. He said, it didn't work. He said, I used it every single day and it didn't work. I said, really? And he said, it only took 6 years. He said, this year, he was a car salesman. He said, this year I am earning 10 times what I was earning 6 years ago. And everybody in my company is earning 10 times as much. We all did it together and all reinforced it. It's absolutely astonishing. The power of compounding. It's a law. Now the principle and a law are different. A principle may or may not be true depending upon circumstances, but a law is like gravity. It always works. So you can actually become 10 times better in 10 years or faster. And I began to do this. I began to think, how can I double my income? How can I teach people to double theirs? And I came up with a little formula. And the formula starts with getting up early.
Mm-hmm.
Successful people get up before 6 a.m.
Yeah.
But I have stacks of studies of interviews with wealthy people who started off poor, started off on farms, started off in factories, and today they're rich. And what did they do? So number one, they get up early. Number two is they read 1 hour every day. An hour a day will be a book a week. A book a week is 50 books a year. You'll be in 1 year, you'll be one of the best educated people in your field in the world. Our top 1%.
Yeah.
And it's also
As long
false.
as you're reading the right books, not reading the other books.
And here's a trick, if you like, a secret. What I do whenever I speak to someone like yourself, I'll say, what one book would you recommend? Right off the top of your head. So I'm asking you that. What one book would you recommend?
Yeah, Exit Rich. That's what
Pardon?
that's what I'm reading right now that I love. Exit Rich.
Is is Get Rich?
Exit Rich.
Um,
Sharon wrote it. Sharon and Michelle wrote it.
uh,
Exit Rich.
Get Rich is what it's called. Okay. Now, now what I will do is I will, after I finish talking to you, I will immediately buy the book. And I won't waste any time. I've got several books here that I mean to read. But whenever I meet an intelligent person, I ask them for their top of mind book recommendation.
Yeah,
And whatever they tell me, I buy it from Amazon and I have it delivered the next day.
yeah,
And whenever you get a chance, start reading the book.
yeah,
Now, here's an interesting thing about reading books is that the book has to grab you from the first few pages. If it doesn't grab you, don't read it because you'll never remember a word of it. So it
mhm.
has to grab you like this Get Rich. You think, this is a great book. I can hardly wait to get back to it and get back to it and think of ways to apply. That's the book that you read.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Oh, I agree. I agree.
one book
So
will change your life.
I'm a speed reader.
Oh,
So
good.
one of my mentors, Darren Hardy, who I know you know, he said, Jen, you read so fast. I want you to go back and I want you to read each book 3 more times.
Wow.
And I want you to take notes in the back of the book. So at the very back of the spine of the book, right? And so that would be the very back spine of your book, right? Of Eat the Frog. And to write down the specific things that come out. You know how when we read a book, we're asterisking and underlining and highlighting and dog earing and everything. He said, you won't go back to the book, just write them all at the very end. And like you, I have a pile of books because I'm a podcaster. I have a lot of authors on. So I order books, I read books, I bring them in, right?
Yeah.
And one of the things that I've done, I'm going to share this with everybody and I want your take on it. And then I have one last question for you because we'll finish up your time. I don't want to take up to all of your time. And maybe two questions, but is that I also stack my books in different categories. So for a quarter, I might be learning about money and finance. For another quarter, I might be learning about mindset.
Yes.
For another quarter, selling or procrastination or time management or productivity, right? I try to, because to me, reading a different book at a different thing is like task switching.
Yes.
Yes. So
Yes.
I stay in a category and read that category for the month, for the quarter.
Right. That's great. I know Darren very well. Darren stood up in a seminar that I was giving in Dallas a few years ago, and he said that uh, listen to what he's saying. He said, when I went to his seminar, I was an army brat, no mother, living with my father, and I was 18 years old, and I was broke and poorly educated. He said, within 5 years, I was a millionaire. He said, today I'm 35, he said, and I have more money than I'll ever be able to spend in the rest of my life because
Yeah.
of him. By the way, talked about my golden triangle. The third part of the golden triangle is continuous learning,
Yeah.
continuous reading, upgrading your skills, becoming better and better. And
Okay. So let me ask you this. So I have a strategy that I call a power play. And I know a lot of people may use the same word. And it comes in many forms for me, right? From a power hour, right? I'm going to do a power play today, and it's going to be a power hour, to a 5-day intensive where I'm disciplined and focused on getting something done that's been lingering for a while, right? It's like eat the frog on steroids. I'm eating the frog all day, every day, right? Can
yes,
you share with us the importance, or the business owners here, of the importance and frequency of handling tasks? Because you do talk about this in your book, and you've talked about it in other places, where the task switching, and I know Darren talks about this too a lot. I mean, my favorite book is The Compound Effect. I love that book. But he's about the task switching. But you talk about the fact that sometimes you have to sink in and just get the work done.
yes.
Tell us about that. What is the importance of it, and what could be the frequency? Is it a
Well,
scale like mine, or is it something else?
the most important resource that you have is your time. And the way that you allocate your time is by setting priorities. And
Mm-hmm.
then you only do one thing at a time until it is 100% complete. But
Mm-hmm.
if you make a list of everything you have to do, and then
Yeah.
you ask, if I could only do one thing on this list before I was called out of town for a month, what one task would I be sure to complete? And put a circle around that, and then start with that task. Do this every morning, do this for the rest of your life, but keep focusing on a single task because you already decided there is nothing more valuable than this task. So just do this and complete it. Now, psychologically, you talk about mindset, is whenever you complete a task, your brain releases endorphins and dopamines. And these are called nature's happy drugs because when they make you happy, they release these drugs and they make you feel good about yourself. And William Glasser, the psychologist, wrote a book some years ago called Positive Addiction. And in positive addiction, he said, whatever you do, you release into some chemicals in your brain, positive or negative. If you do good things and you set goals and you work on them and you complete them, you release endorphins and dopamines. And what happens is you become addicted to those chemicals. So now you are internally motivated. This is the key to success in life. This is really important because once you get internally motivated, you become impatient and frustrated with doing things of low value because they don't give you any buzz. But if you
Right.
work on your most important task, complete a good book,
Mm.
write down your
Right,
goals.
right, right. Yeah.
If you start off every morning by writing down 10 goals from memory, the goals will change. The order will change, description will change. Do that every morning, and what you've done is just like putting it down on a dynamite detonator. Boom! You've already started your day with a powerful boost, and then you pick your number one task and work on that, and work on that until it's done. Because there's nothing else more important in your whole life. These little tricks that I just taught you, they're so important,
Yeah.
and yet they will double and triple your income as sure as God made little green apples. I started off and I was poor into my 30s, and I started asking why why do people become millionaires, and I concluded what we just talked about.
Yeah.
They become
Yeah.
more and more productive. They earn more and more.
Yeah, you
This
have
is
you have something that I'm trying to remember the name. I have a little bit of a photographic memory too, which helps me read a lot and collect a lot. But I can never remember who quoted it, right? That seems to be a thing. But you have something that's opposing to delayed gratification, because you also have something you talk about is playtime. And I can't remember how you phrase it. Is it you? Am I talking about you?
No, I don't think so.
No, I'm pretty sure I am.
But my answer would be
Yeah.
reward yourself.
Yeah. That's
Give
where I was
yourself
thinking
a
with that.
reward
Yeah.
uh, by doing anything. And the wonderful thing is that human beings are sort of like a horse that you have given a lump of sugar. Human beings are motivated for reward. So when you're clear, on our favorite word, clarity,
Yeah.
about the reward you're going to give yourself, take yourself out for dinner, go shopping, buy something that's important to you, then what happens is you continue to work toward that until you could achieve it, and then you can have your reward. You give yourself a sugar lump, if you like.
Yeah.
Metaphorically
Or
speaking.
a piece of chocolate, or a piece of chocolate. That's what I definitely like. Okay. Brian, I mean, we could talk for hours because I've got so many questions. I'm such a curious nature, but I just have a couple of last minute quick questions for you. At this stage of your life, at your career, you've accomplished so much, and most of us would be going, well, now what's next? What's going to happen? But I'm going to make some references to vines, to grapevines. What are you pruning right now? Because I know that this is another thing that you talk about too, and I do too, is the process of elimination is just as important as the process of selection. What are you pruning, whether it's your methods, your voice, your message, your inner world? Is there something that you're pruning at this point? And do you recommend that people do that they don't just continue to consume and grow? I want people to be successful, but I think that sometimes we have to step back and get rid of some things.
Well, I've read about 150,000 hours in my lifetime. I've read about 6,000 books, and my mind is actually teeming with great ideas. And one of the subjects that I did a lot of work on some years ago is super learning. Is how can you learn faster and easier and memorize? And
Yeah.
because the easier you can learn and remember, the more of it you will do. The more of it you do, the better your life will be. The better your life is, the happier you are. Everything goes into an upward spiral. So I just finished taking all the work that I've done and put it together. One chapter has 14 memory techniques that you can use because and your mind is like a muscle. It gets better and better. The more you use your mind, the more you learn, the happier you are, the more you accomplish, and so on. Now, let me just leave our friends with something that's very important. Most of the people watching this are entrepreneurs. They're
Yes.
people who are dependent upon their own efforts and results for their standard of living. And I often start my seminars, and I say, my average audience is about 1,600 people. I say, how many people here would like to double their income? Opening statement. Everybody raises their hand. I say, well, good. I'm going to show you a couple of ways to double your income in the course of the time that we spend together. Would that be a good use of our time? And they'll say, yes, but we want it now, don't want to wait. I say, okay, I'll give you a very simple way, guaranteed to double your income very fast. Is the average professional in business calls on 2 new prospective customers per day. That's
Mhm.
according to the research. So therefore, let's say that everybody here is average. That means that if you call on 4 people, you'll double your income. And everybody goes, huh?
That's it.
What? Yes. If you
What's the catch, right?
the answer is that possible? That's one. Right now, you're calling on one person every 4 hours, and you're now going to call on one person every 2 hours. Is that
Right.
possible? I say yes. I say now, the next thing you need to remember is that there are no customers in the office.
Right. Oh gosh, yeah. Yeah, I remember those days, Brian, when I was in sales. Yeah, we used to tell everybody, "What are you doing in the office? The customers are out there." Right?
Yes, there's so many
And
good.
I would even come in and do this. And they go, "What are you doing?" I go, "I'm looking for customers in the office. I don't see them." because I was a national sales manager, right? And I was going, and so for those of you that aren't watching, I'm just kind of seeking out on the, like I'm on a boat and I'm looking for land, and they would laugh at me and they go, oh, here comes Jen. She's doing it again, and I love that. I think that's awesome. Okay. I want to ask you this last question. Is there a piece of advice or counsel that someone gave you that has aged poorly? And that's another wine reference.
Um,
Is there a piece of advice that someone gave you and it's just not aged very well? It seemed to be okay. You tried it and you tried it, but you're like, no, that doesn't taste so good.
Jesus, a hard question to answer. Because if it's a good piece of advice, then
Yeah,
I will pounce on it and I will try it multiple times before I pass judgment on it.
right.
If it was not a good piece of advice, it'll just die away,
Yeah.
and I will forget it
How
because,
do you discern that as a business owner? How do you discern when it's time to give up on
well,
something? This,
the two questions you have to ask. One is, what is my ultimate goal? And in business, your goal is financial. It is to earn and keep a certain amount of money. Number
Mhm.
two is, what one thing can I do that will help me to earn and keep that amount of money more
Yeah,
than anything else? There's
yeah,
always something, as we said before, always a priority. And what you do is you discipline yourself to do that one thing over and over until you've exhausted it, and then move to number two. Those
yeah.
those two never change, and that's why Eat That Frog is so popular. Is discipline yourself, and in all of history, they found that self-discipline, self-control, is the number one quality for success. And I teach this Nancy Reagan's one-liner when she was helping. Remember, just say no.
Just say
Just
no. You don't have to
say
say
no.
yes to everybody, and that's self-discipline right there. Yeah,
Yes.
that's self-discipline. Brian, it's been wonderful having you on the show. We're going to have all the links to all of your to your website and all of those good things. We've got all that from your team, and we'll make sure that everyone who wants to reach out to you can. And I really appreciate it. Is there anything that you would like to leave us with today that can sum up what we talked about today?
Yes. Well, the number one is to select the one activity that can help you to achieve your most important goal more than anything else, and start on that, and then discipline yourself to complete it 100%. The interesting thing is that if you complete it 100%, you get this burst of endorphins and dopamine. You start to feel positive, and you're much more motivated to do it again and develop your life so that you're always working from most important task to most important task to most important task. And Aristotle said in 350 BC, the great aim of all human life is to be happy, is to be happy. And what happens is if you start and complete your most important task, you'll be happy most of the time. You'll be happy most of the time. So it's almost like you're taking a happy drink by
Yeah.
starting and completing your most important task.
So important because we start and stop and start and stop and plug in and plug out and plug in and plug out, right? All the time. And no wonder we can't get any traction, right? And that's so key. So from the master, thank you so much, Brian, for being here today.
Thank
Been
you, Lady
an
Jen.
absolute pleasure. And thank you all for listening. It's been a pleasure having you with us today. Replay this, take a ton of notes, put some action into play, grab a bunch of books that Brian has put together, and we'll have all those listed. And I know you have them on your website too, but take the action that's needed to have your success and happiness. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on Business on the Vine. If you found value in today's conversation and would like additional support, go to supportfromjen.com. Remember, the best ideas are always discovered on the vine. So keep innovating, stay inspired, and continue to grow.